prophetic clergy table, and the Dr. LaVon Gracie, who covers our democracy work. Nancy is not feeling well. We're going to keep lifting her up in prayer. Who covers all of our organizing, and Faith in Florida is a C3 and C4. And Nancy also covers our C4 work, which is Faith in Florida Action Fund, and a lot of our immigration work. And Genesis, who's the chief of staff. Will the supervisors come join me? This is the group we pray for the most. Because they're literally on the ground with the organizers. And that's Nick Carey, who covers the Island. We have Elder Catrice Johnson, all of South Florida, which is Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. Savon, God bless him, who covers the other part of the state, which is the Treasure Coast area, but they tell me that's where the treasures are. And North Florida. All right. Gaston County, Duval, and Leon County. Okay, so I'm going to ask if our data coordinator will please come up. Lauren, is it? I'm not data. Communication, comms. Coordinator can come up. Our Live Free coordinator, Lauren covers all of the, covers it all. All of our social media outlets, and some of us we're here because we saw it on the news, or we heard it on the radio. Lauren covers the entire state as well. Our Live Free coordinator, Denise, could you come on? Denise covers our gun violence work because what Faith in Florida believes in, that we can reduce gun violence and we can reduce mass incarceration. Yes. So she has a big area of work that we do. I'm missing a coordinator. All right. Will organizers, all of Faith in Florida organizers, will you please come and join me? Amen. Amen. It don't happen unless it happens under their leadership. So we got, in South Florida, so wave your hand. South Florida, Dade, Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. That's who's on the ground. All right, Central Florida. All right, we got Central Florida in the area that covers Orange, Pasco. Did I miss any? No. All right. Where am I? We're in North Florida? North Florida. North Florida as we speak. All right. All right. Now I want to be able to ask if you've ever phone bank or canvas for Faith in Florida. Could you say? Woo! I'm sorry, I didn't see it. All right, wait. Y'all sit down. Listen, I'm at Treasure Coast. That's right.
She said that's where you find the treasure.
Because you owe me an apology.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to make you feel like I've reached an age. Now, we have a new department that is part of our permanent work. All right, which is doing an extremely great work throughout the state and cover a lot of our rural areas when it comes to democracy. will the fellows / to-be organizers come up with me? So Dr. Bracy is going to cover those counties because I will mess that up. Dr. Bracy, what counties are we in with democracy?
Well, we are in Broward, we are in Marion, we are in, Brevard, we are in Lake, we're in Sumter, we're in Orange, we're in
Marion?
I said Marion.
You did?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We're in Volusia, Palm Beach, we are in, well, Pastor Brown has all the rest of the state.
Okay. All right, so it's 67 counties in the state of Florida, and we're over half.
Yeah.
And our goal is to be in all 67 counties. All right? All right. Will the phone bankers and canvassers, if you've ever phone bank or canvass for Faith in Florida, please stand. I'm so grateful because you're literally on the ground, knocking on doors, talking to voters.
Yeah.
You're a huge part of the great work that takes place with Faith in Florida, and I just want to personally say thank you for every effort, every door, every call that you've made, operating in integrity, understanding in the fullness that Florida is in a mess.
Yes. Amen.
And I also realize that you all get the some of the calls are not always the nicest calls. But you still stand and you call. I thank you.
Yes.
And when you knock on doors, interacting with people, and sometimes and dogs.
That's an inside.
Nick, I don't know why you were attacked by the dog. We're praying for that dog to this day, right? Nick alone, right? But you put yourself in a way of knocking on doors and talking to voters. We're so appreciative. And we're so grateful that we want every phone banker and canvasser that's in this room, you're the first that we welcome back. If you choose to continue to work with Faith in Florida, doing exactly what you have an anointing to do. All right? So I just want to say that personally. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. And I love canvassing. That was my idea. I always stayed at the door too long. So, now, what do we do? Other than, Reverend Brown, just come on up here. Stand, he covers the lateral. And who else? And the rest of the state. So who is Faith in Florida? Matt Bird? Did you come up here? Just wave your hand, Matt. He can't hear, but he's in Pinellas County. He's doing a dual job.
Wave your hand.
As well as our digital consultant who's not here. And we still have Dr. Cheryl Coleman and Central Dave, LaQuanda Thomas on internals in LaQuanda College. And am I missing any staff? Okay. I said Nancy. Linda also, who plays a major role, and I'm going to talk about Linda in a few minutes, but I just wanted to make sure you all understand who is Faith in Florida. Faith in Florida, what you see here was not here 4 years ago. We were only in 4 counties. Now we're in almost 39, 40 counties. I've been blessed to be the first Black woman to serve as the executive director. black folks, and it didn't work. And I'm not to offend anyone, but this is the real thing, this is the real deal. And the only way we're gonna change Florida and make it real and make it different where all people, because we're trying to build a beloved community where everyone feels a sense of belonging. And unfortunately in Florida, everyone does not feel a sense of belonging.
Amen.
Black people, immigrants,
Mm.
young people, the LGBTQ, women with our own bodies and our own rights.
Mm.
Everybody does not feel a part of Florida. So we're trying to build a community where everyone feels a part of a beloved community. So we organize multiracial, multi-faith leaders and congregations and mosques and synagogues and people who are impacted. And we say impacted because that's where the real pain, that's where the real power is, where the pain is, around racial, social, and economic justice. We organize and we lift up three main areas of our organizing, which is protecting democracy, immigration, reducing gun violence, and mass incarceration. But because we live in the great state of Florida, we got a housing issue. We got a problem with public education. We got a problem with health care, clean water. What else?
Insurance.
Insurance.
Everything.
You name it, we have a problem, and most of those problems is impacted by black and brown people. We're the ones that's been impacted the most. So we organize around, how do we change policies? How do we create a space where we all feel a sense of belonging? How do we fight systemic racism? How do we fight systems that have been created to make us feel less than? How do we do that? I've been living in Florida all my life. All my life. And I've never seen it. You talk about destruction. How did we allow folks to get in office
Yes, yes.
to make me feel like I'm a second-class citizen?
My Lord, my
How in
Lord.
the world did that happen?
Amen.
We fell asleep and didn't even realize we were asleep.
Come on now.
It was a comatose sleep. And we didn't even realize we were asleep.
Amen.
My son is coming, he's en route. He's a graduate of Florida A&M University. Right, it's okay to give any HBCU a shout out. He stayed there 6 years so he could get his master's.
All right.
When he returned home, he said, "Mommy, what happened?" And he was talking about South Florida. And then he said, "This is not a place for a black man to survive."
My Lord.
First of all, I couldn't answer what happened because I was one that fell asleep as well. But the fact that he identified I would never be able to survive here. He says, "I'm out." He could not survive in Florida. So that's why we do the work that we do. But we can't do it without our foundation of organizing is faith leaders. So we're all clergy. Please stand if you are in Florida and work directly with Faith in Florida. This is our foundation of the work we do is with faith leaders. Secondly, if you are a faith leader that live outside of Florida and you're here, will you please stand? I want to recognize you. Can you share where you're from and your name?
Chris Bauer from Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right.
And we have a few more that will be arriving later and coming on tomorrow. If you are in the room because you heard about what was going on with Black History, can you please stand? Now, I could ask my staff to sit down, and I continue to stand by myself, but I'm not going to do that. All right, you're saying with me, right? All right, and because anyway, in my faith tradition, when Jesus was teaching, he was what? Sitting down and the people were standing, right?
That's right.
So you know, if some of us, if he came in, oh Lord, I want to stand with you, but I'm tired, you want to sit with him. So I'm not going to do that, we're going to stand. I want to recognize also our staff that's not here is, first of all, I wanted to make sure the millennials, our young people, if you could just wave your hand.
All right.
We got beards now. We got beards now.
All right. Since they're not going to cooperate. Yan, step out a little bit.
There you go, there you go, there you go.
Natalie, step out a little bit. Gregory, I'm still in limbo on whether what you no, Dr. Bracy said no, he needs to be behind me.
Don't forget me.
Nick, step out a little bit. Marlo, step out a little bit. In fact, y'all come up here with me because I don't trust the
Pastor Ron, you said millennial, right?
You know Jesus.
And the rest of y'all move back. All right. That's the last, that's the generation. Yeah, that's another generation, they're on something else. But it's this generation right here that can make things happen that the ones behind me cannot.
Yes.
I have a youth department from the age of 14 to 17. And some of those kids called you up to see if you had everything. They're part of staff. They're working, getting paid youth department.
Amen.
They started with a summer program. Those kids know how to do a one-on-one with elected officials. They know how to do one-on-ones with anyone in their community and their peers. They know how to conduct a candidate forum. They know how to tell their story.
My Lord.
They do phone banking because they use how they're impacted by legislative session to do phone banking. One of them serves in leadership and supervising the other youth in the 16. We got to have something to pass the mantle to, someone to pass the mantle. And that's what we're building. So this group, and there's a younger group who keep, sometimes I need an interpreter to understand what they're saying. Sometimes I mess up words. I'm trying to say they capping, and I say capping, and telling me that's not the way you say it. You talking about the strippers, that's not what I said, well, I messed that up so bad, you know. And you pointed it out, but I need them as well. They're just as important. And so this is Faith in Florida is, and I've shared with you what we do, and I've named some of the issues, and now we're going to talk about why we're in this room right now. Faith in Florida, what we did, we started out real good and we were real calm. Let me say this. I started out real good and real calm. When we realized what was happening in our public school system as well as higher education with the teaching of Black history.
My Lord.
So we scheduled a meeting with the Board of Education. The first scheduled meeting was in Tallahassee. Clergy was there, everybody was there, Dr. Bracy was there, Dr. Jackson, you was there. Who wasn't there was the chair of the Board of Education.
My Lord.
Another meeting was scheduled by our champions and allies in Miami Gardens. And one of our churches that's connected with Faith in Florida, Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, everyone was there, but guess who wasn't?
He was.
We wanted to have a conversation. What are you doing? And why? So the conversation did not happen. So I asked our staff, 3 people, I went to one, our researcher who's not here, Linda, I said, choose a committee. The committee, if you can step out.
Yeah, Marlo.
We got Marlo, Dr. Tony Drake, and Linda, who's not feeling well. Create a toolkit that will represent the teaching of Black history. I did not ask for a curriculum because I know Black clergy don't like to be told what to do, and a curriculum would have given them too many instructions. You got to do it like this, you got to, no. I wanted a toolkit to give them the option to choose from that toolkit to make a pledge and a commitment that they will teach African American history. That's all I did. I asked the organizers, because we have over 800 congregations that falls up under the leadership of Faith in Florida. I asked the organizers, let's get faith leaders, and I was only targeting in my head the Black church. Why? Because we've always taught some form of history. And I think we dropped the ball. And it started rolling down the hill. We need to find that ball and bring it back up the hill. Because if they want us, let me just make this plain. If you try to dilute our history, that gives you more power to dilute our future, and the devil is a liar. So I said in a calm way, I was calm. I was calm, wasn't I calm? I started off real calm. Operating in my right mind. We'll teach it. We understand what's needed. They should have left our educators alone.
Yes.
They went to school to teach it in a professional way.
Yes.
A curriculum. The whole truth. No, they was teaching it. They didn't cover everything. They did. Because some of our kids still think Martin Luther King only is about a parade.
All right now. You better teach now.
So I said, if the church pick it back up, which we should have never dropped it.
Yes.
It was power in the way we taught it. If you go back to the Civil Rights Movement, you all know during the Civil Rights Movement, the community, elected officials, they depended on the church.
Amen.
They went to the church. That's where the meetings was held.
Amen.
And then the power was there. That's how we became a threat. And the bombs came. And the fires came. When have you last been a threat?
My Lord.
Now you think about that. You know, the church, we full of the Holy Ghost and all this power, but you're not a threat.
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
So.
It wasn't until a young millennial millennial was going to do one of our trainings, since, you know, some of us paid them without the King James Version. I didn't know he had slaves.
Amen.
Not the King, not the James, not the Version. No.
He was
I had no idea. Been in ministry how many years? My husband and I found out, didn't know the King was operating like that. I need to study from another version. Now I know that'll mess some of y'all up. I'm not trying to tell y'all how to teach and preach from no church. But there is an Ethiopian Bible that you probably didn't know about. Listen. When we started organizing churches to sign up, my goal, my vision was for Florida, because we were the ones that was impacted by this horrible, consistent legislation that is being passed.
one after another.
Yes.
And the world is always, all eyes are always on Florida. It's not just what Tupac was saying, but all eyes are still on us. Our history was being threatened. Our leaders, well, the leaders in the state of Florida did not trust our educators to do their job. They thought that teaching Black history may offend white children.
Yes.
Hell, I've been offended for years.
My Lord.
Still being.
That's why y'all out there praying, right? All right. But no one, and how many Black children may be offended? And no one created, it's talking about creating a bill alone. How do we not offend Black children? Because we organize multiracial, multi-faith, some of our white congregants saw something was wrong with that picture.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
And said, we maybe can't teach it the way the Black church, but we can teach it in the way of accountability. Does that mean something?
Yes.
Now we can really talk about the replacement conspiracy theory on a different set of lenses. We can really talk about the critical race theory in a different set of lenses. Black people, we can teach. One thing God gave us is this gift of creativity.
My Lord.
We can teach it through the biblical lenses.
Yes.
We can teach it through art, music. History still sits in our pews.
Yes. Yes.
What better way of getting from those that still sit in the pews to share their story and what they've gone through?
All right.
Is that not enough to be recognized? So that's why we're here today.
Thank you.
Are you excited about what's going on? With that, we have invited some vendors. Every vendor, if you could just stand, and someone coming. And they're not just from Florida. I've had my sister from Chicago, Huntsville. South Carolina.
My Lord.
Any other vendor? There is going to be more. Oh, I'm sorry.
Washington, D.C.
Washington. And so what I want is throughout and the breaks, and we're going to hear from these vendors on tomorrow. If you're ready to take what you're doing to a whole nother level, we have vendors here who have what a curriculum, I guess, can possibly look like, that you can utilize in a way to help in your teaching of Black history. How many agree with me? We will not be erased.
We will not be erased.
Our stories will not be erased.
Yes.
Our future will not be erased.
Yes.
Who built this country?
We did.
And how much did we charge them?
Nothing.
All right, that's it. Our blood, sweat,
And our tears.
and our tears, and our family.
Yeah.
And no one sent any help.
Right.
We're still waiting. That's why I act like this.
It's all right.
All right. You all can be seated.
Yes.
I'm going to turn it over to the team that created the toolkit. And I'm going to start with Marlo. And so let's just go through the agenda. Marlo, you coming first. For those who may have been struggling with, how do I maneuver this toolkit? He's going to go over how to maneuver the toolkit. And then he also have a message that will be directed to our young people in the way of training. So I see a lot of our kids are in the back. I'm going to ask them, see this table, I need y'all to come up a little bit. And you can go back to your seat. I need you all to come up here. All of our young people that's still in school. I know that everybody said, well, I ain't got no move. No. I hope they don't call on me. But I just think they so worth the investment.
Yes.
This is what is right. This is, all right. Okay, so we want you all to sit here, okay? And then we're gonna have tomorrow, I want y'all to sit here again, because we're gonna have a young person to teach as well, okay? But I promise won't nobody pick on y'all. All right? Well, nobody be calling y'all out to say nothing unless you want to. All right? We good?
Yep.
Y'all trust me? All right, let's make this happen. All right, Marlo.
Can we give a big round of applause for our executive director? I don't know how I can follow up after that. She really sets the bar high. Well, welcome everybody to our Victim for Black History National Training. My name is Marlo Jones. I'm a part of the I-4 corridor. If you know the I-4 corridor, let me hear you say, "Who up?" All right, I love my team, they're great. I'm from Pasco County, Florida, right outside of Tampa. If you don't know where Pasco is, it's a lot of cows and things like that. Real rural. And I'm here, I'm a part of the Black History Toolkit team with Linda, and who we're hoping a speedy recovery. Everybody say, get well soon, Linda. Get well soon, Linda. If you watch it from home, Linda, we love you. I'm here with Dr. Drake, who I will let introduce himself. We're part of the Black History Toolkit team, and we're going to walk you all through the Black History Toolkit, how you can access it in your churches, congregations, homes, schools, and we're going to give you a little tutorial how you can navigate it and what it is and how amazing it is. And I'm going to let Dr. Drake introduce himself.
Good evening, good morning, whatever it is. Dr. Drayton, lead pastor St. James Church and the community organizer with faith in Florida. I want to say welcome and thank you for allowing us, Pastor Thomas, to be a part of this creation, and we gather to see how rich and robust our history is. And we do chapter 2 again, which I would allow me to be a part of this construction. I will be grateful for that opportunity as we continue to grow individually and as an organization under this great leadership.
Thank you, Dr. Drake. So what we have right here, everybody, as you can see, is the Black History Toolkit. So if you want to know how you access the Black History Toolkit, you can go to faithinflorida.org, and once you go to faithinflorida.org, you simply click issues. And once you click issues, you're going to see the issues that Faith in Florida is currently working on. You're going to see the Black History Toolkit pop up. So, as you can see here, this is the landing page and what you're going to see when you first come on the screen. You're going to see some of these iconic people. Now, I'm just going to ask anybody in the audience, and you can call them out if you see them. Do you recognize any of these faces on here? Can you see them? Call them out if you see these names. Maya Angelou, one of the greatest poets ever lived. Anybody else? Fannie Lou Hamer. Fannie Lou Hamer. Okay, she was amazing. Who else?
George Washington Carver.
Medgar Evers? Oh, bigger. Okay. We got Stephon working on that. Y'all, let's give Stephon a round of applause. He behind the scenes right here. So, George Washington Carver, yes. So I wanted to ask you all to call out some of these names, because we got our youth in here, right? And we know, at least I can attest being a millennial, when I was in school, I learned more about George Washington than I ever did about George Washington Carver.
Right, yeah.
I learned more about Thomas Jefferson than I ever did Maya Angelou, or Medgar Evers, or Malcolm X. I didn't know anything until my family, my great-grandmothers. And as we know in our Black traditions and our Black families, a lot of our history is passed down orally. It was illegal for us to read and write, so we had to learn from our ancestors who passed those stories of pain down to each generation. And we want to acknowledge some of these people on this screen. George Washington Carver, one of the most educated scientists that ever lived, and this brother still to this day does not get enough credit. We have some of the most iconic people up here. My personal favorite is Dr. Maya Angelou. I'm a millennial, and I remember when Bill Clinton was elected, Dr. Angelou gave an inaugural poem address. And that poem said something of the terms of we're more alike than we are unlike.
Good, all right.
And Dr. Angelou, to her dying day, always had that message of love and peace. Hattie McDaniels, the first Black woman to win an Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, let's clap for that, y'all. We see what's going on in the industry today. Black women are still fighting just to get paid equally.
Amen.
So these are some of our pioneers. We got Janelle Monáe for the new generation. So this legacy will continue to live on. And I just want to say to the young folks, I just want to talk about some of these people because you're not going to hear about them all the time. And we're going to make sure when y'all go home today, y'all going to think about these people, you're going to talk about them and share their stories with your friends. So when you get to the Black History page, you may think, well, where do I start? What do I do? How do I navigate it? It's simple. And Pastor Rhonda told us, we created it for you. Pastor Rhonda said clergy don't like being told what to do. So some clergy that we're working with, I know in my community, it depends on where you're starting. Some people like to start at the beginning, which as you can see from the beginning starts from Africa to America. Because let's be real, y'all. When we learned about it, they told us after we were slaves. They never told us about Mansa Musa. They never told us about Haile Selassie. They never told us that we was kings and queens.
No, right.
They never told us those things. They said we came off the boat and that was it.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us we built that university in Timbuktu.
No.
They didn't tell us that. So this is designed to tell you that. And this is a free. Can I hear y'all all say the word free? Free. One more time. Free. One more time. Free. A free resource where anybody can go online and learn. Where any pastor, clergy, teacher can go online and say, listen, today we're going to talk about from Africa to America. Or if you want to go ahead and talk about personal accounts, you can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and let Dr. Drayton go ahead and talk a little bit because I don't want to talk too much. Go ahead, Dr. Drayton, and let them know.
It's interesting. I was looking at personal account just this morning, trying to prepare and get the culture what was happening. and trying to see exactly, diving into some of these stories here, the personal account. Regardless to where you are in our history, and I just say this to Mr. Marlowe, I'm beginning to further understand our history is not only the history of this country. Black history is the world history.
Amen.
Without our history, the world does not exist in the way that it does now. Our history is much larger than the history of this country. Our history, when it's understood, it is the history of the whole wide cosmos. It's a world history. And the personal account, you take a deep dive and then you learn about some of the things that you see on the screen and much more. Also, the 12 years of slavery, a lot of resources in here, and you can like pick and choose where you want to start, as Marlon said. It's up to you to take that deep dive in there.
Absolutely. And if you want to, let's say we're on personal accounts, one of my personal favorite people, I think, is Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, born a slave, taught himself to read and write, and then led his people to the promised land.
That's it.
He was the Malcolm X before Malcolm X, the Martin Luther King before Martin Luther King. He was the blueprint. And was the first black man to have a newspaper, the North Star. So he was trying to educate his people. The same thing we trying to do in the 21st century, just trying to spread that love and education. But I think that every person, every black child, white child, don't matter, should read the autobiography and the slave narrative of Frederick Douglass, or listen to his famous speech that he gave when they invited him to speak for Independence Day. What is the 4th of July to a slave?
Yes. That's serious. Okay.
So what we created for you are resources, topics that you can go and talk about with your children, with your church. And this gives you almost a nice blueprint on where you can start, where you can stop. And it's very user-friendly. One thing I also love about it is it caters to everybody, young, old. We have information. We have, I almost said that word, Pastor, on the curriculum. Let me stop. We have resources for children as well. Raise your hand if you ever heard of Gracie's Corner.
Oh, yeah.
All right? That show right there changing the game.
Oh, yes.
My little girls every morning, they wake up, Daddy, I want to listen to Gracie's Corner.
Yes.
And I'm listening to it, and it's reaffirming in them that they are black and beautiful. That they have a dream, like Dr. King. And it's just amazing that these resources are available. If we also want to go down to Stefan, Black Women in Leadership. Let's give it up for Black Women in Leadership. We got a lot of strong Black women in this room right now. Go ahead, Dr. Gray.
This is a really, really interesting and important place to be. Even in what we're going to do next, I search and look and ask myself, even in studying our history, you'll find out there's a pushback of women in history, black women. And even as we're looking at the section that will come next, as I search and look for, in the vein of faith, mothers of the church like fathers of the church, they're rare and in between. They exist, but you really have to look hard to understand. And all that we do, and the black women, and this is from the perspective of a womanist perspective. There's a difference between feminist perspective and a womanist perspective. And we don't understand that as we have put the toolkit together, we're back behind the starting block. Because what you're exposed to here in this particular section is the acknowledgement and the realization that black women faces challenges that those who don't look like you face. And they can never understand what you face. And if you would do it on what I trained in this, we did it on these little spiral things like this. And when you got through with the spiral, the women, Katie Cannon, Kelly Ryan Douglas, They all say that they haven't captured what we as black women go through. So they say, you know what? We celebrate that, but we're gonna look at this from a woman's perspective. And that's what the toolkit allows you to do, to look at that and bring equity and power to you as black women. I'm gonna say, give them some praise.
Give us a praise. Give us some round of applause. And one of the great resources that I like about the toolkit is not only is it informational, but we also provide books that you can go and read that are amazing. Like this one here, The Truth We Hold, An American Journey by Kamala Harris. Or Becoming Michelle Obama. How many of y'all read that book? I heard that was a bestseller. All right, I see a room full of hands. And also the lovely one by Ketanji Brown Jackson, Coming Soon. So you can literally go on this toolkit. If you are studying black history or American history, or if you're studying black faith or resistance, you're going to have resources for those individual topics that you can go ahead and start talking about, teaching on, having a discussion on. Also, if we could go down to the children's resources, thank you so much, Stefan, you're the best, brother. So like I was saying, for the children, because if we're not doing it for the children, what are we doing it for?
Exactly.
Right? So for the children, if you're teaching children in your Sunday school class, I know some pastors have Sunday school classes where they teach the kids. There are also lots of different resources for that. Things you can read to kids that they can understand on their level. This is a valuable resource. And I just really hope that each and every one of you takes the time throughout your weekend to visit this. And when you go back home, share it with somebody you know. Because this is a resource that will continue to grow.
Also, in the toolkit, it's important to begin to navigate it. There are some topics and some links there that are active. It will take you to the YouTube, it will take you to the video. So you actually can click on those particular ones, and you can actually put on the screen and your children, and you can see the actual video. Some of them are not like that, but that brings another level of excitement for the children, for the teens, even adults. When you find those particular icons, you can press and you can sit there and watch it live, leave it in its color. It brings another level of accountability and excitement to it.
Absolutely. And if we could go to the last link, Stefan, museums and libraries. Okay, so sometimes you gotta take a field trip, right? Sometimes we actually gotta go see the history. Like I'm trying to go down to Rosewood and see Rosewood. That's why I want to take my daughters and some of my family, because my family is in Live Oak. I got some family out in Live Oak, which isn't too far from Rosewood. But right here we have a list of resources and locations where you can actually go and sign up and take your kid or your church or your organization to these museums where they're talking about black history. And I don't know about y'all, but I think we need a lot more black history museums. What y'all think? We need a lot more. And different things that are going on. The Zora Neale Hurst Museum as well, the Haitian Heritage Museum, the African Museum of the Arts. So these are all places you can go and visit. You can look up their websites and see, where they're located. And we strongly encourage taking your child to see that history, because we know what has happened to our history. And we know that we gotta keep fighting. It seems every generation to keep our history alive. And now we're entering a new age, a new digital age where things are changing. Kids are learning information so fast. So this is a valuable resource that will continue to grow. We will continue to add to it and do different things to it to make sure that it's up to date and everybody is getting something from it that they can take and be inspired by.
On the toolkit, a very good question was asked. I was sitting before Urban League and several of them, and they asked this question: how do we know, or how will one know the truth or the veracity of the material that has been placed in the toolkit? Great question, would you think so?
Yes.
That's a great question, because we want to teach truth with that. And so, reached out to Marlo, Linda, brought the question, we chewed it around for a while. I called my other buddy, pastor here, who's a great expert in history, Bishop Philip Dukes. And we decided the best answer could be that most of the material that's in the toolkit, many of us had already been exposed to. I haven't read all of those books, but I read a lot of those books in my training, and others have. And then the second aspect of it was that we have reputable HBCUs who have vetted and used a lot of the same material, the same books, same documentaries that's in this toolkit. And if our HBCUs are as tight as we know they are, then they're teaching truth to facts with this guy. So what we did is like you're doing a paper, you're doing a research, you have to turn the bibliography page, or build page as we call it. And that build page is approved by your professor. And that professor says, this doesn't fit in this category. You gotta go start all back over again, because there's something that's been identified in that source that he doesn't want in there. So the toolkit fixed that. So you're getting the best. You're getting things that have been vetted by people who look like us and who teaches our truth to power. You're not getting something that's watered down. It's not a watered down version. And some of it you get, you're not going to like it because it's not going to be powerful to you. But it's going to be a truth, and folk like us know our history. And then there comes to what we call the primary sources as well. A primary source is something that's written in the time of its happening. If you write a book, now that's a primary source. A secondary source is something that you write when you write about something. So this kit contains both primary and secondary sources that have been well vetted by us who want to teach, not us, but by a community, an academic community, a practical community that wants to push our history.
Thank you, Dr. Drayton. So just to go over just a quick one more time, how do you access it? Go to www.faithinflorida.org. And once you do, you just simply click the Issues tab. And once you click the Issues tab, this page is going to pop up right here. And on the left-hand side, you'll be able to see your table of contents and the different avenues and the different subjects in which you can teach from, or which you can read up on and get those resources. And this is the Black History Toolkit. And we really, really, really hope that you are enjoying it. And please, critique us. You got something that we think should be added? Send us an email. I'm sure Linda would love to hear from you. She's probably watching from home right now. But we want to thank you all really so much. And now what we're going to do is we're going to leave it for questions. If anybody has any questions for me or Dr. Drayton, we'll answer them before we sit down. Yes, Dr. Jackson? Let's give it up for our lovely Deputy Director, Dr. Jackson.
Showing some faith leaders here and others who have not taken the place. Are you able to walk them through that?
Yes, ma'am. Are we able to click the link right here to pledge today? Can we raise your hand? Any faith leaders in the building that have not taken the pledge to teach Black history by show of hands? Do we have any? Okay.
Are there any non-faith leaders who were doing something as well in your community that you want to take this pledge as well?
Sure.
Thank you. Let's get them all. Okay.
Okay. And you can pull up your phone, or you can pull up your iPad or your computer. And what I'll do is I'll walk you through it, because we want all y'all to be on the team with us. Amen? All right. So it's very simple here. So once you go ahead and click that link, it's going to bring you to this page right here. Everybody see this page? If you can see this page, clap once. All right. So this page is going to come up, and you simply go ahead and fill out your email, the email preferred contact that you would like to be contacted. Please fill out your name of the organization. And once you do that, you just scroll on down to the bottom. You can put your name of your congregation, your denomination, clergy or faith leader's name. Please put your name so we can call you and contact you. And also the contact person. So once this goes through, we'll be able to contact you. So put the contact person, their title, their position, phone number, email, and like I said, congregation's address. Please put your address, city, state, your zip code, the county in which you are operating. And right here, it says, I pledge to teach Black history to members of my congregation. Either monthly, you can select that, quarterly, ongoing, no date, or other. You just put in other if you, I know some pastors we work with, they have their own schedule. Like Pastor Rhonda said, where you don't like to be told what to do. All right, then once you do that, you can go ahead and click that button and it'll send you a copy. So you got a copy for yourself. And once you do that, you have signed up on our pledge to teach Black history. Anybody have any questions? Dr. Jackson?
Go back to the name of the organizer fellow. I know a lot of people.
Okay.
Get stuff there.
Organizer
Just put
fellow?
the name of your organizer, your fellow, the person who invited you to this gathering. Yeah, the name of the organizer fellow, that is a required space. So if you are a faith leader, if you don't know who your organizer is, let us know who invited you to this gathering. Once you know who your organizer is, the person who invited you to the gathering, you can put their name there. And if it's not correct, like let's say you put this young man's name, I'll know that he was invited by Apostle Lee. Okay, so that's important because that would be required. And if you can't think of anybody's name,
Just think of mine.
Just put a name.
Just think of mine.
Put my name.
Just put my name.
Put my name, Dr. Jackson. I'll make sure it gets to the right person, okay?
Okay, so put Dr. Jackson or Tony Montana. Dr. Tony, the Black Johnny Cash. All right, does anybody have any questions? I call him the Black Johnny Cash because he's always dressed in black.
Always been black.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our how to operate and navigate the toolkit. Thank you all so much, and God bless each and every one of you. All righty. Alrighty. Okay, everybody, we're just putting up the next presentation for you. Give us 1 second here. Thank you so much. So how's everybody doing today? Did everybody get here safely?
Yes.
Wash your hands. Awesome. Hey, how was that traffic? Raise your hand if you had some crazy traffic. All right. Raise your hand if you flew here on the plane. On the plane, was your plane ride okay? Welcome to Florida. All right. Now, I just want to say while we're getting this pulled up. All right. Here we go. Are you ready?
Are we ready? Yes. I got some notes here in addition to the slide, just some possible commentary about this. And we've already acknowledged our great executive director Pastor Thomas and his staff. Let's give them another round of applause for allowing us to move an unusual perspective is something that's well needed. And we're going to slow down a little bit and go back, and then we're going to come forward. My perspective is Black history from a faith, tradition, and why this toolkit. It's a difficult task when we're facing a multiplicity of faith, perhaps, in this gathering. I do want to champion a great team, Ms. Linda, in her absence, and Marlo, who was a jewel in his knowledge of Black history in all facets. And Linda, Ms. Linda, with her research skills and all the support of Faith in Florida in making this come to fruition. And it's kind of difficult when we look at the room and we're of different faith. So a lot of thought had to go into this. But I'd like to start off with the next slide, please. And I will start my teaching on the proposition, what's the name of it? And it is this proposition. In our effort to move collectively toward the beloved community, we must embrace factual Black history as we recognize and expand our reach and redefine inclusivity. I thought about that a long time and what it means to do that. That if you ever looked at Dr. King's writing on the beloved community and a testament of hope, it's real deep. But it boils down to what I believe Faith in Florida epitomizes, is looking at the entire community, bringing us together, organizing us for the great sense of what's called the beloved community. And as we organize, and especially under Pastor Thomas, we realize that it's not an ideology. We're looking for the realization of the beloved community, not some pie in the sky. And when we're looking at it from a faith perspective, this could be kind of challenging when we look at what's gathered in the room here today. Next slide, please. So, if we will, and we're doing this in faith, I always like to start off with some kind of definition, something that we can work with, something that's unusual to going to make us think. And I remember just recently, we met Dr. Stevenson, a PhD person who working on the transatlantic slave trade, and his PhD is on the transmigration of souls, which means he seeks to answer the question, why so many enslaved persons jumped overboard? Why did they jump ship? Some jump ship for various reasons. But his focus is on that type of work. So I thought about this here as we was going through this part of the presentation. Working definition, understanding. A noun for belief. Faith has a noble pedigree, coming from the Latin. It connotes a sense of personal honor and a mutual loyalty, attaching to the pledge. Sometimes faith is simply seen as holding fast to one Creator's word. Faith can be determined to be an intellectual notion of conviction, belief, and distinction from knowledge. And that's what we all can connect. Because it may not be a traditional faith that you may think it to be, but it's what you believe. It's what you think is true. How we action, how we act, how we behave, how we function. That's our faith. Watch this here. We must recognize and acknowledge the multiplicity of faith traditions as we organize and as we work. We must recognize and acknowledge various cultural norms and genres, styles of faith, cultures, and etc. We must recognize that economism, that nice little word there, the concept and principle that Christians and people of faith who belong to different Christian denominations and other groups should work together to develop closer relationships and unity is seldom achieved. Yet. And yet is intentional, because that's the hope of the beloved community that we work for, that we organize for, and that's the purpose of our toolkit as well. Next slide. We ask ourselves some of the critical concerns, even from a faith perspective. We're going somewhere with this. Here are some of the critical concerns, not all of them. What's the first one? Black history. Help me out. Now, factually. The second one, next one? Racism. The next one?
Migration.
Next one?
Immigration.
Next one?
Housing.
Next one?
Homelessness.
Next one?
Others.
Next?
Global warming.
Next?
Environmental justice.
Next?
Economic inequality.
Next?
Human rights violations.
Next?
Global health issues.
Next?
Personal protection.
And others. Now, here's the question. In the Sunshine of Faith in Florida Black History Toolkit instruction, and from the perspective of why Black history, from a Black faith perspective, where are the intersections whereby we all can meet as a diverse community of faith? Think about that. Where do we all meet as a diverse community of faith? Think about it. You have to answer. You have time to answer the question a little bit later on. Next slide. Claire, I call this section reweaving the text. And I think that oftentimes, thinking about the Black History Toolkit, that's why we thought it was important to do the Black History Toolkit first as a reference. There's a scholar by the name of Clarence Jordan. He wrote the compact version of Luke, the compact version of the Gospel, the compact version of so many biblical texts. He's a Greek scholar, and someone enjoyed it. He came, okay, let me back up. He's a Greek scholar and the founder of Koinonia Forum. Koinonia is just a nice little word for fellowship, that's all it is. He has a colloquial modern translation of the Gospel based upon the New Testament Common Greek, which is Koinonia. And he said something like this. We read the text. He came into Nazareth as he was accustomed. He went into the synagogue. So sometimes, in order to get what we need to get, as we look at our faith in reference to the Black History Toolkit, it's okay to reread the text. Because in rereading the text, you'll find all the issues that you just enunciated in those texts. I don't care what your faith is. I don't care what the belief system are. You will run into one of those social ills that keep you up at night. You're gonna discover it. So the question now is, are there materials in the toolkit that you can adequately address, adequately be informed, adequately attach a faith or your faith to what you're doing? After all, this is faith in Florida. We're not telling you what to believe, because whether you believe or not, you still have a faith, regardless to what it may be. The lack of a belief in what I believe does not negate the fact that you have a faith. And I want to go this way here that we're going. What about Marlo?
I'm right here, Dr. Dre.
Oh, you ain't jump ship, did you?
I ain't jump ship, I ain't gonna leave you, brother.
That's transmigration of souls, okay? I'm in the shadows. Keep a watch over his own, okay? That was Dr. King said, you know, that Rome fell on the throne, truth fell on the scaffold, yet that scaffold swayed the future, beneath the dim unknown, standing guard within the shadows, keeping watch above his own. Okay? That wasn't planned, that. Right on time. I ain't gonna leave you, brother. Okay. And so we'll go this way. But then Dr. Stevenson said something else that helped me formally, Dr. Jackson, what we're doing now. He said that studying our history always set the bar high in what you're doing. Always set the bar high. But he also said this, but always provide a ladder to reach the bar. Okay? Set the bar high, but always provide a ladder to reach the bar. And what we're doing, if the toolkit, we set the standard of our history very high. It is high. But the toolkit allows us to put the ladder to climb up to the bar. I remember once in my training, we were doing something with grad students, and someone was talking, and someone said, a black lady of color, that she was not going to allow her children to dummy down on nothing. They're going to know the history, the good and the bad. But she said, I'm going to find a way to get them to reach that history, to reach that level. That's what the toolkit provides too. We really take. Watch this. Rather, when he came into Nazareth and he was accustomed, he went to the synagogue. We're reading the text for better understanding. He went into the hood as he was accustomed. He met the boys under the tree. He sat down with them on the beach. All right. And they began to talk. That sounds better. And the one thing that the toolkit has to do, I think it does, is reach our young people, reach the millennials, reach the Gen Z. Because if we don't reach them, our future is going to be in jeopardy. Dr. Glover said this in a lecture. He said, we got to remember in our faith, our young people, our young boys, our young girls, and some of our older ones, we are seeking an identity. And we do things, or we don't do things, because a lack of identity. And he said that when we formulate an identity of knowing who we are, of knowing that we're valuable, of knowing that we're on the pages of the biblical text, we're on the pages of history. We built not only this country, we built the whole wide world. It started with us. And then perhaps our Gen Zs, our millennials, then will begin to look at themselves differently. Learn to put a value in who we are, because we've been so marginalized for so long. We've been told that we ain't nothing. We've been told that we should be slaves. We've been told that we should enjoy being enslaved at some time or another. But now we can flip that narrative. When we let them know you came from kings and queens, to let them know you built the world, to let them know that you were our first thought and you were not an afterthought. Yes. Come on. All right. We read and walk in that. This is from a faith perspective. I'm trying to stay true to what I've been asked to do. The art of relieving keep our perspective fresh, and here's that bar that's high, but the ladder is beside it at orthopraxis. Orthopraxis, take a little Greek here, orthos means to cut right, to be straight. Praxis is mean where the rubber meets the road. So when we're orthopraxis, we cut it straight. And the rubber is meeting the road, and the toolkit helps provide us the narrative to get right. Reading the text, walking the tenets of your faith, more so than not, will take you where you need to be. It's in there. We have a pastor here. They're going to reread the text for us. Come on up.
Let's give it up for Miss Betty Watson.
Good afternoon, everyone. And y'all walk with me with this, okay? This is how it's put on the spot.
Question.
You got a question?
Yeah, some of us don't know what the rubber meets the road is, so I just want you to help us to understand what that means.
When the rubber meets the road, and let's take my faith tradition. When I'm talking or teaching or preaching or whatever, instructing or meeting someone, That means taking it from the academy to the village. That means where it really can be played out. Let me jump ahead. One of our persons we talked to, they call it the town and the gown. In other words, you're wearing the gown of academia, of the toolkit. But you also have to wear the gown as well, the town as well. I'm from Kobe. We call it wearing the robe and the hood. In other words, they teach you, they want you to know, you wear that hood of academia. You wear all those colors when you graduate, but it's no good if you can't wear the hood. And the hood is the neighborhood. And we're all here because in some way or another, we have decided that we don't wear the hood and the robe and the neighborhood. And you don't have to be all of that to be a scholar in what you're doing. You can be a scholar by reading that toolkit and investing in that toolkit and learning our history and then showing where the rubber meets the road. You don't have to have 10 letters, 12 letters behind your name to be a scholar of our history, because look at the history in this room. Look at all the history. Look at the history. That's the history. You are the history.
I was given a text, reweaving the text of the prodigal son.
All right.
We all know the story. And for some of you who don't, in the Bible it says that he had 2 sons, man had 2 sons, and they worked for him. And the younger son went to his dad and he said, it's time for me to get what belongs to me so I can go see the world. Daddy gave him his money. He went out, he squandered it all, and he ended up eating from the pig's trough. Rereading the text for the younger generation. Hey man, I've been here working for you all this time. It's time I don't have any friends. I need to go see the world. Daddy said, well, you know, the money really is mine, but I'm gonna give you some. Then let you do what you want to do. Here's him some money. He goes out and he falls with the wrong crowd.
Come on, Pastor, teach that.
Wrong crowd. He's doing everything that his daddy didn't teach him to do.
Come on.
He's smoking what weed.
Come on. Tell it.
He becomes a street pharmaceutical salesman.
All right now.
All right.
Y'all do it.
All right.
Keep it real.
He does everything that he was not taught to do.
Yeah.
The money runs out.
It will.
And a fool with his money will soon depart. And when you have no money, you have no so-called friends. They're gone. What you gonna do? You homeless? You penniless? You eating scraps? And you have a thought. In my daddy's house,
Come on.
the servants live better than I live. Wonder if my daddy gonna receive me back. He comes to his senses. Sometimes we don't come to our senses. And he goes back to his father's house. Daddy sees him from down the road. That looks like my boy. He tells the other son, we're gonna throw a party. And just like Silas, he gets jealous. But Daddy doesn't really care, because my prodigal son has come home. We have prodigal sons who are called returning citizens. Y'all see where I'm going? We don't open our arms and say, come on back. We ostracize them.
Yes, we do.
We talk about them. Don't want to give them a job. They haven't checked the right box. If we're going to build a beloved community, we need to be like the daddy. That's my child. Each of us can be the daddy of the mom with open arms. What little that I have, I'll share with you. If we're going to build a beloved community, we've got to open up our hearts, our mindset, and say, you did wrong. Because there, by the grace of God, there goes I. Think about this. When was the last time you opened your arms and welcomed the returning citizen back? Our returning citizens is going to help us get Florida right. You've got to encourage them to register to vote. You got to help them along the way. I don't have the money to pay a fine. Well, baby, let's see what we can do. Let's sell some cans and bottles of aluminum. What can you do to help a returning citizen to get back reweaving the text? We got to stop looking at it like it was then. Because it's not then, it's now. If we don't teach our children to be the daddy and the mom, Lord help us.
My Lord.
If you not see those issues that were on that four-show slide that you had come into play as she did that exercise. Homelessness, returning citizen. That's all we have to do as people of faith is know the story and stick with the story and understand that resources in this kit can help you to give a greater voice to what we're doing. Next slide.
Absolutely. I just want to say, before I go to the next slide, can we please give Reverend Betty Watson a round of applause? Reverend Betty, ever since I met Reverend Betty, when she delivers a message, she delivers a message. The question is, did you get the message? Amen. I think we got it. Amen. I think we can go to the next slide now, Dr. Chris.
We're going to take a deep dive. Rereading the text before the slate and rewind. You discover all is in the toolkit. This is important. And this is why I'm so adamant that we build this world. You got Egypt, you got Serena, you got Libya, African presence long before, in my tradition, Christ of the church, you find on this continent of Africa. Africa, somebody say Africa. Africa. Somebody say this here. Egypt is in Africa.
Egypt is in Africa.
Let me say it again. Egypt is in Africa.
Egypt is in Africa.
God don't believe that. Egypt is in Africa.
Egypt
The
is in
Middle East did not exist. The Middle East did not exist. We in Africa, we weren't worshiping on trees, we weren't worshiping on flowers or anything like that. Somebody,
We was building pyramids.
hey. And it's still trying to figure out what those pyramids stood for about a year after they were built, while still trying to take credit for building them. That doesn't make any sense.
If you let them tell it, they say Napoleon built them.
You got that right. Okay, watch this here. Rewind. We went long before enslavement. Go back far enough. You read about a great black folk in the first and early days of Providence. Serene, Augustine, Origen, the father of systematic theology, Tertullian, Trinitarian language, St. Mark, the founder of the first church in Africa. We say, oh well, we don't understand this here, but our faith shows us that when you begin to talk about Tertullian, Carthage, South Africa, he's the one that gave you the language of the Trinity. Come on. When you start talking about Serene and St. Augustine, you ever been to St. Augustine? Where do you think the name came from? St. Augustine, right there. The brother there. You get the best systematic theologian you ever seen in Origin. Folks that look like us. Rewind the tape. Go back. I wish you had more time. You want to go further, just give me a call. I wish I had time to do that. Mark, the same with the Gospel of Mark, right there. 1,000 years before Europe decided to go in there and go to the continent of Africa, this had already been exposed in Africa. 1,000 years earlier, before Europe decided to go in there. You don't believe me? Ask Aristotle. Ask Plato. Ask Socrates. Where did they go steal all that stuff from? I believe it was called the Library of Alexandria. One of the great wonders of the world, Alexandria. They went and stole it and then put their names on it. And we bought it hook, line, and sinker. We drank the Kool-Aid. Every time as persons of faith, flourishing leaders, we were looking at what we do, always ask about you in the text. What is it? Someone said this. Now they asked me to do this about our faith. This is hard to do, but it's true. Said, we ask ourselves, who was there first? That may be hard to understand. Perhaps the better question is, with whom are we going to share it with? You may not ever figure out who was there first, but you can figure out with whom do you need to share it with. Okay? More so, you will discover that the presence of black thinkers and black leaders in major decisions about our faith. So now I say, Nicaea 325.
Nicaea 325.
Come on, Nicaea. I mean, who heard about Nicaea? Okay. Was that the Council of Nicaea? The Council of Nicaea.
Was that that group of people that got together?
That's it. They
They decided what was going to go in and what was going to go out?
Ooh! Boy, you know this.
Oh, I heard about this.
Man, oh man. There were 256 bishops that was there, and they were trying to discuss the deity of Christ, the humanity of Christ, the hypostatic union. That's my faith tradition now. And they said, what was they got there? They said, guess what, in essence, when they made the decision in Nicaea 325, they had Chalcedon 581 and other church councils there. They said, this is what they said, them black folks in Africa got it right. Wow. That's what they said. They said they got it right. 256 bishops all said Africa had it right with understanding our belief system. And they moved on. All thinkers like this, they don't take it, but they don't want you to know. One of the greatest liberations I had one day, I went to the office, I don't know why I was early, and all of a sudden there was a magazine. And the magazine had the black presence in the world. And there was nobody in there for me to share this book. I just started jumping, I just started shouting, and I had a ooh moment. Ooh, 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 ooh. Look, there was nobody to show it to. Well, I was so happy. And then all of a sudden, this country just said, we ain't gonna push that too much. And it kind of like disappeared. And fast as it was on the market. Next slide. We're gonna go quick here. Are they able to top? How much time we have?
We got 5,000 hours.
Okay. We're gonna be here for 6 days and 6 nights. But let's go. I'm just kidding, y'all. We know y'all hungry. We ain't gonna keep no hungry people on the road.
The radicality to the text. And I use the text because I don't care what your faith tradition is, there's something that you hold is sacred. It may be a piece of bubble gum. It may be a wrapper. I mean a candy wrapper. But there's something that drives you that we call your canon. Your canon is your rule of measurement, your standard, whatever your canon is. That's why we call it canonicity. Revisit history.
there's a radicality. And I'm gonna go to this first tradition here, revisit. Here is what I always preach, always teach, always write about, is what we find in our faith as organizers, and the people who work in these spaces. Here is the remedy. Here lies the solution for all of our social ills. Right in here. Ask King, ask Game on Woodward. Who knows that? Here it is. Revisit the mega day. Revisit how we were created. Special word. Only used by our creator bar. No one else uses it. Dominion. We're not to have dominion over each other.
Yes.
Come on.
No power over. No power under.
Yes.
And our women's theologian has done a great job in giving expression to this. It's power beside, not over. Revisit the confluence. Brother Marlon, read that right there. Why I shout? I'm gonna go into the bushes.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in and do a ring dance, a ring shout. You got it? I'm gonna go into the hush harbors. Okay? Y'all catch it? You got it? Hush harbors? Where you just sneak away with Mox and them don't know you're back there? And you're back in the bushes there? And you're shouting, you're doing your ring shout or your ring dances? And you can do it the way you want to do it? Go ahead on.
All right. The confluence of the Forehead River in its location, Genesis chapter 2, verse 10. Now a river went out to the water of the garden, and from there it parted and became four riverheads. The one and only place in the world where this can be a reality is in Egypt of Africa. Here I come. I hear saying, welcome home, and I see you, the rivers. You might pronounce that word for me, Dr. Gray.
In the business school, it's just skipping. Just keep it out, just skipping.
Get him. And what is that? How you say that? And how do we say this, audience? Say it with me. Okay, we can say Euphrates. Okay. That was a trick word you put in there, Dr. Gray. You didn't tell me about that. I put it in there.
No. There's only one place in the world where that can happen. You can't make it up. You can't control geography. Only one place in the whole wide world you're going to find that. And that is in my motherland, the cradle of all civilization. That's our history. One place, that's our history. And the toolkit will allow you resources to get to some of these places and understanding that we're talking about. Ain't but one place in the world and a river. Come here. And a river and a river and a river ran out of there. Let's go. Revisit the radicality of the text. The text, and with our faith, what we do is already radical. And what we're doing is organizing. And whatever we do, we're working to bring about democracy. If it's not radical, it ain't right. Because the radicality, as Dr. Edwards would say, is this. If it did not need to be addressed, it would be radical. So we're addressing the lack of our history. We're addressing the retardation of our history. We're addressing that which will empower our Gen Zs and empower our millennials. Let them know that we go way, way, way back. And my history did not start here in these United States. I remember very clearly, I was in the 10th grade, and I went to this class they called Black History. Okay? It was Black History, all right. Because I told them, if anybody else laughed in that class, they would have a black eye. Because they started, and I was in these, quote, upper level class, whatever you want to call them. And I was the only black guy out of 30-some kids in this room. And they had these little film strips. And they had our brothers and our sisters running around in chains. No clothes on. And the person who didn't look like me, they started giggling. Oh, that ain't gonna work with me. And I felt so ashamed. I felt so embarrassed. I knew something was wrong. But I knew this here. If anybody else said anything to me that day, I'm gonna get suspended. And so I went down and I told a black teacher what happened in that room. And from that day on, about a month, they added a class that dealt with black history the way that it should have been. That was one of the greatest moments I had in high school when we began to teach black history at Martin County High School in Stuart, Florida in a real way. From feeling embarrassed, from feeling ashamed. Can you only imagine how some of our Gen Zs and our millennials, those coming behind us, when they think about what we're doing and they think about that we're not going far enough back to let them know your heritage? You are somebody.
Yes.
You are black history.
Yes.
You are to be studied. No one knows the pain that black folks feel
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
in this country. They don't know what it's like for you and your brother to be coming home one night and you're fishing on a bridge in Stuart, Florida, and then we're not supposed to say nigga. We said it, we're right. And the N-word comes. The N-word. And you say, tell your brother, let's leave because we're open out here. We're fishing on the bridge. Let's go home. And they follow you, and you live in this big old country called Indiantown, Florida. Only had 8 streets in it, that's all. And by the time you get across the bridge in Indiantown, Marlo, you think it's Christmas. But it's not Christmas. It's about 10 or 15 police officers with a light flashing to come get you. It's time to go. And then you got a brother on the side of you saying, what did we do? What did we do? What did we do? Nothing. Drive while being black and it's dark. That's what we did. And they go pull over, drive a the car, driver, and you get out of the car. And you're backing up. And when you turn around, all you see are guns pointed at you, and it's dark, and all these persons who don't nobody look like you. And they got the gun. And my brother goes, what do we do? I said, boy, if you don't put your hand on this car, and they're sitting there, and you're saying, officers, please don't pull the trigger. You're begging them, don't pull the trigger, don't pull the trigger. What do we do? Don't pull the trigger, don't pull the trigger. And you spray it all over the car. And you know this is going to be it. And then just by circumstances, one comes and look in your face and remember you from your athletic days and call you by name and just happen to say, put those guns away. There got to be something the matter with here. Do this. And this guy would do this and allow you to take whatever you got with you to the substation. If it had not, can I get church in my tradition one time? If it had not been, if it had not been, but let me say this to you. I know this is us, but every time I go before other persons, and we've been doing some work, my counterpart, Pastor Ray, and we were talking about this. I go to a person who don't look like us. They're concerned not about our history. They're concerned about their history. How we going to promote their history? Jump over our black backs when we don't have not help them out and leave us behind. Next slide, okay?
Repeat.
Oh, wait. Back up. Bring it back. Revisit. Oh, no, I can do this right here. The radicality of the text. Luke is one of those places you can look at. Check the theme of the poor, power over, poor and Barcelona, the brokenhearted, set the captives free, liberty and oppression. Yeah, there's no change, but we want liberty. That's the difference between freedom and liberty. Sight to the blind, accept the ear of the Lord. Revisit in order to find true liberation. Power beside. Justice, equity. Try to embrace the radicalism of your centric canon. whatever your faith tradition is. I looked at many of them coming to this space, and very few of them have an ideology where you're a misogynist, where you're a perpetrator, or you're the power over. Learn it, embrace it, revisit in order to find those things. Revisit. History is not what happened. History is what written down.
Amen.
And history is written by the winners.
That's what Napoleon said.
Yes.
We all know what happened then. All right.
Change it around.
The reward of trust and faith. I ask myself, if we look at the toolkit is going to be a roadmap. There's some good stuff in that toolkit. And between the three of us and the person that we know, most of those things we've read. We looked at Jesus and the disinherited by Howard Thurman. How many of you ever read that one? If you don't read any other material, read Jesus and the Disinherited by Howard Thurman. How many have read There's a River? Okay? There's a river. And that river still flows today. It still flows today. That river is a river of liberation. It's a river of freedom. It's a river of knowing our history. What is that one place is where all those rivers flow from? What that continent called?
Africa.
Say it again. Africa. Africa. How many ever experienced when you look at this toolkit, you're gonna find black liberation theology by who? James Cone. That can give expression as we preach and as we teach and as we organize. Because we organize in the hope of equality. And you know what else too? You're going to understand that black religion, black radicalism, is in the toolkit too, by Gabriel Wilmore, is something that being championed not only in our history, but in learning our history by other folk who don't look like us. And we're going to get to where we need to go. We're going to have to lock arms with others who do not look like we look. And James Cone said it like this here. Liberation is now, this is why we're such a good people. Liberation seeks let's do it like this, black liberation theology. Seeks even the liberation of the oppressors.
Yes, yes.
How many feel like that sometimes? Most of the time I don't. Because you hit me, I want to hit you back. Okay? But it seeks the liberation of our oppressors. Last but not least, say something about that liberation.
Liberation. We know that for as long as we can remember, black folks have been fighting. We've been wanting to be liberated. We got brought over in the bows of ships. We came to this land, we built this country, and we're still fighting for liberation. I think it's in our DNA to be resilient, to be fighters, to be strong. I know if Pastor Thomas say, we go on the war, I know every organizer and fellow that you've seen standing up there, we go on the war with Pastor Ron. Oh yeah. When Black history was being diluted and Pastor Rhonda had her vision, and she told us what that vision was, and she said, it's time for the cavalry to get to work, we got to work. So we're going to keep on fighting for liberation. Liberation. Okay, Doc, you want me to go to the next slide, Doc?
Yes.
Woman King. That was a good movie. I'm waiting for part 2. I'm waiting for them to tell the other stories of those black queens that used to ride in the battle with their husbands. You heard about those? Oh, yeah. They used to ride in the battle.
When we look at those early, we call Trey Father. Naturally, I began to ask myself years ago, what about your mothers? Okay. You got a father and your mother. And even when we look at history, way back yonder, we understand that women have been marginalized. There's still, even in my faith, there's a patriarchal tradition that need to be debunked. It need to be watered down. My daughter's first doll, we call it baby doll. I was in the country, they call baby doll. Honestly, I would not allow her to have a white doll. Okay? We would do that. I would not, because I said, when I see someone who doesn't look like you with a black doll, then it's okay.
Right.
But until then, no. Don't keep her. And her doll name was Macrina. Okay? And it was named Macrina for a reason. Because Macrina was a black mother of the church. And I didn't want to forget that. And so I wanted her doll to be named Macrina. First, she was black, and my daughter was black. Second, Macrina, like other church mothers, are nowhere to be found if you look at the second page. But they were there. They helped Augustine. They assisted Origen. They assisted Athanasius. They assisted those persons with their resources, their money, and all that they did, and they helped even support what's called the Desert Fathers at that time, who built and taught. Watch this here. Dr. Stevenson again, 70% of our HBCUs were started by churches.
Yes. My Lord.
70%.
That's right.
Can I be my daughter one time? My daughter will say, now, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Anything else you want to say? We're coming home now. Black Christian faith must cross the bridge the day and now. Go back. And how many preachers we have in here? Let me say preachers. Ooh. So y'all know this right here. The sacred text, while we lost a lot of our millennials, while we lost a lot of our Gen Zs, it's because we try to start right now. Right now. And there's no context for the right now for them. You have to cross back over that bridge and say, young man, let me tell you where you really came from. You're the king.
Yes.
You're the queen. Okay? And this stuff that what you say is another man's faith or religion, boy, you better put that stuff down. Because before they came over highfalutin, before they came over taking from you, you were already there. Last thing, I'm gonna let me be true to mine. If I was at a another setting, that group would be true to their faith tradition. They would be true to mine. This would happen. He talks about. I'll be like Dr. King. I read somewhere.
I had
Dr.
Say it.
And I was not sleeping either. Okay, the context. Somewhere around, I think it's Acts 2:5 in my tradition. And think about the 10th verse. It talks about one group going north. But around that 10th verse, they call all of people from Africa. It's in there, it's in there. And it went south this way, while I was going north. And while I was going south, it landed on the continent Africa. Way back yonder, it landed. So the here and now, and understanding and reading, get resources in the toolkit that will give you a system to help take it all the way back across this bridge to where it should be. And you'll discover that we were not no afterthoughts to nobody. We're not second to anybody. You're building a whole world, Pastor Dukes. You're building a whole context. But if you start over here, you ain't got too far to look back. They don't see that. How can you ask a 30-year-old person to look back 30 years and see what done happened, the whole world. You gotta take them back across that bridge. Bring them with you. Tell them about the toolkit. And you know what? Just maybe someone will pick it up and say, you know what? I want to do some organizing. I want to go register people to vote. I want to go volunteer somewhere. I care about my people. I care about my future. I care about my past because I'm learning my past. And my past tell me that those folks ain't teaching me right in my school. Those folks are telling me about something called the Middle East. It wasn't even there. I look at a map, Egypt is still on Africa. That's where it is. They going nowhere. They didn't move it. They moved the boundaries. That's all. They rebuilt something. That's all. Last, make up one toolkit. Allow for such dynamic. We're done now. Any questions?
Let's give it up for Dr. Tony Drake and y'all. Dr. Tony Drake, man. Okay, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you,
Q&A, we're on the Q&A panel.
First of all, excellent presentation. I can feel all the colonization in my mind being challenged, so thank God for that. Going through that, do you have you said the videos and the narratives, but to teach this, obviously the way you presented it, you can't just pick that up and teach it. So how do you prepare? Because there are a lot of mindsets and ways of thinking that it's got to be challenged within the teacher to be able to present it as truth. How do you help leaders get to a place where they can have clarity enough? I know it has to be a heart conviction also, but clarity enough that we can present that in a way, especially to our young people who are falling away because they don't see vision forward.
That's a great question. I appreciate that question. I do now feel some of the pain and stress that I had of coming up here in a short period of time, trying to put something together in a process, in a protocol, prototypical way that you can follow and understand it. Thank you. So I'm like on that movie, wait to exhale, I'm gonna say, but I do thank Pastor Thomas and my team for giving me the freedom and the time to do this in a period of time that we had. I thank you for acknowledging that. That's a great question. I would say to do what and deal with what we're dealing with now. Start where you are on that toolkit. People know that toolkit consists of 7 or 8 domains and drop down. Pick an area that you're going to study in and become, quote, a subject expert in that area. That area is something called synecdoche. It's the bar high, the ladder beside it, and then the synecdoche of that, the connection of it, it will lead you to other places. And you begin to find a gestalt, if you will, how all begin to come together, piece by piece by piece. Just start where you are.
Thank you.
All right, Katrice got a question.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Drayton and Mr. Marlowe, for that wonderful presentation on the toolkit. This is my suggestion to her questions. So this is not why I raised my hand, but I just want to say, I suggest that a video presentation like how you just did, do videos of teachings and insert them into the toolkit. Because, you know, Faith in Florida, Black History Comeback is worldwide now. And I don't know if Pastor Rhonda shared this, but we were over, it was seen over in Africa, one of the countries in Africa. But that, so I wanted to say that. I think, you know, some video, you see how he did that? Put it on, record him or somebody teaching it and insert it in the toolkit. That's just one of my suggestions.
If you call me, I get you started. I give you one. I got your same last name.
My original question.
I'll give it to you. It's called, it's one that's being made now, which I really, really love. It's called God's Black Children. Called God's Black Children. And you'll find that
that in addition to studying this as well, I put together some things that I had, like I had a class called Reweaving the Text. We did Colossians in the Divinity School, looking at social justice, liberation theology, and then going into the city of where was it, called Greece, New York, going out, meeting people, talking to people, being a part of projects in Greece, New York, in Rochester, going out, and you will see the stuff begin to come alive like that, okay? And then just making it, and just teach somebody. Do it from the pulpit. Watch this. How many preachers again? Watch this. There, how many weeks in a year? 52. How many Sunday schools do you have? 52 at least. How many revivals do you all do? Okay? Now take that experientially, add it up. See how many contacts you made during that year. Just then.
I do have one other question. Do you deal with colonization? Do you deal with the mindset that we have from colonization? Because it seems like to me there has to be a precursor to help people identify why we can't see or why we're challenged when we hear truth that is factual.
Thank you. My question is, do you have in the toolkit anything that deals with or addresses colonized thinking? Because it seems there needs to be a precursor, because in all of the traditions of how we've learned biblical history apart from Black history, it's challenging. I'm over that. That's not my challenge anymore, but how do you present it in a way to people who will have strong mindsets that will resist hearing this truth?
That's a great question, and you're right for recognizing, I'm glad you recognize it, because in the formulation of the toolkit, there are materials in there can help to address that and debunk some of that ideology which we take to be concrete evidence sometimes. But to understand that Europe has always been a filter to us. Even in the trajectory that it was going from south, from north, we're going south. Egypt didn't show up into Africa until 1,000 years after our faith had been there. Think about that, not 100, 1,000 years. And then here comes Europe. And wasn't it Europe that said that the Enlightenment period did not come to Africa? Matter of fact, not only the period of Enlightenment, the Renaissance era, they codified that the Renaissance period, no Enlightenment, had invaded the country Africa. And so, quote, that double entendre, Africa being the dark continent, still existed. But you're right. Jerome Tinsky said this in White Christian Nationalism, that we come to a place where we become complacent and become the norm. So the norm becomes the history that we move in, because we've been in that space for so long. It never changes. It never goes away. It just changes. And the governor knows that if he can keep us right where we are, keep us in this spot, they had nothing to worry about. How many ever heard of Charles Manson? Yeah. Remember that? The first time I went out in the streets of doing something was in North Carolina. And the Wilmington 10, remember, way back, the Wilmington 10. Some of y'all probably didn't organize it there. So I went to Wilmington 10, out to in the Carolinas. I went to Greensboro, that's where it was. I got there after the Wilmington 10 had been organizing, and they were organizing against the Wilmington 10, the community. And Charles Manson at that time was asked how would he handle things. He called all the persons of color, all the ones that were white, that looked like us, and he explained how he would eviscerate them and wipe them out. And they asked him, so you just saying that about the black people? He said, I don't have to say anything about the black people, they're going to kill each other.
My Lord.
They started to look like they're going to kill each other. This is a world in which we live in.
So celebrate and look at the toolkit. I guarantee you, those materials that we have, that Pastor Rhonda has approved, let's give her a hand, another hand. And having absorbed a lot of those materials, and not only read those books before, know what's there. You have this guy here, Mr. Marlowe, he's a walking historian. Give him a hand. And his vision, and I'm one of the best resource persons that you ever gonna run into. I don't know how we got together, but Pastor Tucker made it happen. Y'all gonna do this, and we did it. And he gave the approval, so we're on something here that can flip the trajectory of what we're doing. And it's in a way, know what I said, the dignity of the young people. And what I do, I've been working with young people for 30 years. As a coach, as a pastor, you name it. First started as a high school wrestling coach. Started college, I went to college on a wrestling scholarship, did all these things, worked with the young people, brought all that back with me to that. And started off with just keep being in the light. And if you begin to teach them, they want to learn. But if you don't open your mouth, it's not going to happen. Okay?
We got a question, Patrice, and then after that, we're gonna go right back.
Hello again. This is my original question. Was simplicity, can you define the difference between, you kind of said it, but you didn't define it, freedom and liberation so that it would.
I knew you read that question. Freedom. You can have change. Okay, let me give you a real example. I wrote something one day, and I defined poor. And before we went to print, my professor asked me, he said, you need to quote this here and give credit to whoever said that. I go, it's fine. I said, over 10, 15 years, I had to formulate for me what that's gonna look like. And what you're reading here, that wasn't quoted by anyone. That was what I learned through lived experience. And those are my words articulated. And I'm gonna let this in. You're not liberated unless you have access to any systems or protocol that everyone else has access to. And if you don't have access in one area, you're poor, parsimonious in that particular area. It means across the board, I want equal access. If you got a piece of pie, give me my piece. Don't eat my piece.
I didn't want to miss my turn. I just wanted to.
I'm coming, I'm running. Oh, no, you might not be.
I was fellowshipping.
I just wanted to just add, I'm just so used to making this thing real. You knew he wasn't liberated when a white cop could put his knee in the neck of a black man. That did not represent liberation.
No.
It didn't represent liberation when he went to court, but his sentence did not look like if it had been a black cop put his neck in a white cop. When we start thinking about liberation, just because they allowed us to go on their beach and sleep in their hotels and eat at the restaurants, and right now they're working on a system now. How do I keep them off this same beach?
Right.
That doesn't represent liberation. We may be free to do some stuff, but we're far from liberation. It has nothing to do with your money. It has nothing to do with what side of the track you live on. During and I'm not taking over.
And you the ball.
I learned something. During the time of the death of Trayvon Martin, it had not gone to court. It was an organization who have blossomed and doing some wonderful things now by the name of the Dream Defenders. They took a stand. At that time, I was doing labor organizing. I thank God for labor organizing. That's why we fight against the union busting bill. But anyway, those young people took over the Capitol. They slept on the floor for weeks. They invited me. I couldn't sleep on the floor. I didn't get the point, y'all. But I took as much water and food as I possibly could. But what happened is we did there was a little training where we were speaking to this professor. And this professor said, a poor, homeless white man had more privileges than a rich black man. A poor, homeless white man had more privileges than the Jay-Z's. Can I say that name right? Jay-Z? I don't know, I'm military Democrats back then. I don't know the young people saying, voice saying, I don't know it. No, I don't know them. I know I the eyes and the brothers. You know, I'm in a different generation. But the fact that he used that as an example was a wake-up call that we're far from liberation. We're far from it. So it has nothing to do with our money. It has nothing to do with where we come from and where we think we have arrived. We have not yet arrived. They asked me, with this whole replacement conspiracy theory, I know as a black woman I could never replace you. Don't want to. Right. I just feel like I deserve. Yes. Equal. That's right. Give me a piece based on my grandma. Yes. Wow. Give me a piece based on my granddad. Do I not deserve that? Yes. So I just don't want us. I'm doing well now. Yes, you are. But are you really operating in true liberation? We're far from it. As a people, we're far from it. We should not have ever guided or have become this successful. They did everything in the book to keep us from reading and writing. They did everything. How in the world y'all took over the sports? The only reason we haven't taken over hockey because we are too cold. We should have never come this far with entertainment. How did that happen? Those resilient black folks keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. So what do? Let's try to destroy the history. Yes.
Let me do one question that's on my mind. I always like to do this, Brian, when I walk in this lane here. If I told you I'm reading something, I'm absorbing, I'm shouting, because here's how we connect. Because I just ran into something that's in our toolkit. Kenny Brown does this, a woman does, and it's called the Black Christ. What would you think? What's your first part? They're no wrong. If I tell you that, what would you think she's talking about? I ran into something in Faith in Florida toolkit. It's in there called the Black Christ. What is she talking about? Any idea? Sometimes things are done by the process of elimination. Do you think she's talking about hair texture? Do you think she's talking about broad nose, Jesus? Think she's talking about the dark skinned Jesus? The brother with the Jerry curl, the soul glow, the beard, the ancient one. What do you think she's talking about? This here, what she's talking about is why we organize. Is what connects us together. She's talking about humanity. She's talking about a person, whether he's a historical figure or whether, oh, by the way, that one that said God in three persons, blessed Trinity, light from light, whatever, that's a black man right there. Black guy. One of those fathers we're talking about. She's talking about when people look at our, this is about faith, our text, and they see the pain, they see the hurt, they see the vilification, they see the women's suffrage issues. The guys like Rauschenbusch up in the north and with the social gospel, the king should have been the heir too. They didn't give it to him. They gave it to a guy named William Glackman. They looked over him because he was black. He should have been the heir to that. When we look at the crucifixion, how they whooped and did all of that stuff, she's saying to me and to you, black women in the context of our African tradition, I see you. She's saying in a present situation, I identify with that one there who's been oppressed. That's why black folks have a Jesusology. We love God, we got a Jesusology. When you have a baby, it's been documented. You don't say, oh God, you go, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus. That's data driven. CPE. So what she's saying is this, says anybody who's hurt, anybody who's been suppressed from their voting, anybody who's been marginalized, said you black too because of the behavior that you're facing, because of the prejudice and the alienation that you're going through. You have somebody that you can connect to because it's about a relationship. That we're told that they inform their relational organizing. So we feel the pain. I feel the pain. And in the tradition of the African context, I see you. Let's give Dr. Drake a round of applause. All right. You're good? All right. I was trying to change it. I'm looking for my step fund. Yes. While I'm waiting for step fund to help me with the next one, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic.
Thank you so much for this presentation. It is really, really amazing. Especially the St. Augustine. I'm very interested in the St. Augustine because you indicated that St. Augustine was a black person. And so now I'm looking at the history of St. Augustine because St. Augustine is the first city in the United States.
Yes.
And so now I'm looking back, I'm getting a little chills because St. Augustine was also a place where the slaves came from South Carolina. And then they came to St. Augustine. So with it being named after a black man, it's amazing how they selected that particular city to bring the slaves from South Carolina to Florida. And where they actually did fighting at Fort Mose. I believe that's the correct way to say it. Fort Mose. So I'm just really interested in you saying about St. Augustine that was a black man, and it was that particular city was named after him as well. So thank you for that enlightenment.
What happened, the Seminole Rebellion, there was the first major rebellion in South Carolina. And there the preachers actually went out and started that rebellion. And what they did, the preachers did, they went to all the slave owners' homes that they could find, and the slave owner said, according to how that slave owner was, if he or she, and women own slaves too, if they was a bad slave owner, they killed them, cut the head off, and put it on a stick. Okay? And if they was okay, they let the slave owners go. But the rebellion, when it went down, they had to go going south now, the Savannah River became a land, a place of demarcation. And if they got across the Savannah River, there was an army there, which army it was. They were allowing them to come to St. Augustine. Think about it now, you got South Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina. Then you got Georgia, Savannah River. If I can make it across the river, they were free then. They were not holding black people enslaved, but the rebellion was cut off before it got there. But that's where they were headed, to St. Augustine. That was why they were headed to St. Augustine.
Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Grady. All right, I got a question. I'm running down. And this is going to be our last question. I got one. We're going to do 2 more questions. Oh, we're going to be here. We're going to be here all night.
Good afternoon, everyone. My question is, with the toolkit, being that all of us come from different backgrounds and experiences and information that's been given to us, and a lot of things that can be contradicted based on the way that we present it, at the beginning of the toolkit, in order to do a deep dive and have that understanding that whoever is standing before you with the information with the toolkit, know that my interpretation of what I'm seeing in the toolkit that would be a foundation for me, and my interpretation of it and my history, that some of contradicts some of the things that I'm seeing here now. Is there something at the beginning of the toolkit, and just like the young lady said earlier about a precursor, really with colonization and all those things, so much more goes into it. So is it any way at the beginning of the actual toolkit, can it be told that you're not going to receive something from me in Florida and someone in New York because of our backgrounds from which we come in the history that we have? Because when I hear about the Bible, I know there's 300 and some odd versions of the Bible. When I hear about King James took things out of the Bible that he didn't want in there, so he made his own. When I hear about Constantine and Catholicism, he took things out that he didn't want there. So, and then they have to realize that the Bible is 66 books and understand what books mean. So, I'm not saying that all of that has to be there, but understand that when you're receiving information, that person that you're receiving it from, or the history or the experience that they had, is definitely going to have a bearing on that. So it's never going to be concrete, but just make people aware, so hopefully they will take that and do a deep dive for themselves and get a better understanding. So I'm just wondering, right at the beginning, is there something there that would make sure they understood that? Because when I saw that second slide about the hood, that's our fault. Because now we have allowed kids to use that term. When we were coming up, and those before us, you always used neighborhood, and you saw it with pride, and it came to you with pride. So if we go back now and say that we're going to speak their language and say hood, then are we doing them an injustice, or are we doing them a justice or not? Because we're going back and we're not turning it around the way it should be turned around. It is a neighborhood. So something at the beginning should be there to make them have them, they don't have to make them understand, but make them so inquisitive that they say, I'm going to take even a deeper dive into this. Is there something there at the beginning? Because I know my story and my teacher is going to be.
Thank you for your observation. I think that maybe sometimes words we use, let's start with the hood first. The play on that word academic was that with the garment, when you graduate, you got a hood. So it's to say, I wear this academic hood, but it has to be more to it than just me putting on ecclesiastical garb. I got to deal with the rubber meets the road. I got to go into the neighborhood. So that's just a short, exactly. But I was saying, not the hood, because I got the hood on my academic road with the tassels and the things on it. I got my little stove on it, okay, whatever you want to be. And I got to say, I got this here, but I got to also put on not this hood, but the neighborhood. Okay. Secondly, King James translated his Bible for one reason. And for not the youth to be like God, be like the Son, he wanted control. You got to understand that. He wanted control of the people. That's why you have the King James, that one y'all think is so holy and sacred. Everything that you have is translated unless it's from the Koine Greek or the Hebrew. Koine was the language of the day. It was a common language. Alexander the Great was able to conquer the whole world, but he could not conquer the language. So that's why Greek is a dead language. Hellenization is a process of Greek influence throughout the whole wide world. He couldn't conquer that. So that's why when you get to a point, you have religious language,
and you have theological language. We're talking religious language now. Theological language is like this here. The Bible, in my context, listen, mine, is inerrant. The Bible is infallible. The Bible is authoritative in their original autographs. But all of them are translated, all of them, in their original autograph. So if you get one of those other Bibles, you gonna talk to me. If you ain't gonna do the language stuff, we ain't gonna do it.
All right. Right here with the last question.
Hello, thank you all so much for all of this pertinent information that I think is very necessary for us as African Americans to have a hold of, that we can then take it back to our respective churches and communities. So thank you so much. You know, as I was growing up, I found it hard pressed to find African Americans in the Bible. I mean, because of, you know, the Ten Commandments, you know, those movies that you saw, you didn't see us. So I just found it hard pressed. But I'm gonna tell you one thing, when you start doing your research and doing those deep dives, it is so liberating to know that you are hard pressed to find white people in the Bible.
Thank you.
And so I want to ask, and then the question that you asked, the relevant question that you asked at the beginning, can you answer that?
Go back to the relevant question. Everything I do teaching, and I did all the time, relevant question that we try to ask. Go back to the relevant question. I think we, hopefully we set it about,
We had,
next slide. I think we moved on. Okay, it's about the reach and being the inclusivity. That in intersection where they're going to intersect. The toolkit was understood and the resources we have will give us that interconnectivity. Because one of those examples would be the marginalization of women, especially black women. We're not on the pages enough. You're not celebrated enough. Okay? Your work is not championed enough. I don't care what we do, we always have to ask the question. I have to ask the question, what about my black sister? What about my sisters? Where are you? Yes. I won't leave you behind. I will not teach nothing that worked out like that. Cannot be. And even the example of my daughters having that doll baby that named after one of those black mothers in the church, that was intentional. She had to carry Macrina wherever she went. She couldn't carry a doll that looked like her. And Macrina was celebrated as one of the church mothers that looked like us. She had to do that. And so, hopefully we did at least get the scratch the surgery. That toolkit has a lot of them. Look at those, the Black Christ, black sexuality in the church, King Karen in there. They're in there. You can start in the toolkit. This is how you can celebrate wherever you want to start. You don't have to start at the beginning. Start with a video. Start with William Gates. Okay? What's that one, Brother William Gates do we talked about, we started to do the first one. The documentary with All Eyes.
Oh, yes.
What's on All Eyes?
sorry, I have a little microphone connection. I think it might be yours, Dr. Gray.
No. Your battery.
Is it mine?
My battery going dead.
About All Eyes. You don't start with that one there. If you say, okay, I don't want to navigate all of this, just go to the one, look for the one, currently, All Eyes. So I think it's 14 hours, but you're going to begin to connect and see yourself and see the people and see full persons that look like you and look like us and what they're doing.
Dr. Drayton's right. And just to touch on that a little bit, there are so many amazing documentaries out there that are also free on YouTube.
Yep.
So many free resources. I know Ava DuVernay, she wrote a great documentary. And I'm drawing a blank with the name, but it's 13. Who said it? Can you say it louder? 13. I think everybody should write that down right now, 13th. Go home and type in YouTube, especially if you're a Gen Z or millennial. That documentary will break it down. It will break it down for you in such a way that you will be able to understand. Now, I just want to say before we start our next slide, let's give Dr. Drake and all of y'all a round of applause. And I'd like to say that the toolkit is, we really appreciate you. We appreciate you giving us your honest critiques and letting us know, because we can't do this by ourselves. We need you. We need the people to help us. So thank you so much. So what I want to do now, I want to ask, can you raise your hand if you are a Gen Z or millennial? Raise your hand, please. Can you stand up and come to the front of the room and tell the truth? Gen Z, if you're a Gen Z or millennial, come on up, come on up. I see you, come on up. Yeah, come on in. Oh, we got a lot of Gen Zs and millennials. All right, all right. All right, let's give it up for our Gen Zs and our millennials. This is the future. When Pastor Thomas told the Gen Zs and millennials to step forward, we all stepped forward, right? Remember that? You know what I thought about when she said that? And when we look back, I look back at Dr. Bracy. Dr. Bracy has an amazing story that if you haven't heard it, I suggest you hear it. But what I thought about when she asked us to step forward, I looked back and I said, that's the generation. Hey, what's going on? I said, that's the generation that has passed the baton to us. So all of these young folks you see here have a baton that has been passed to them. That's right. From somebody in their family. Somebody told them some history about their ancestors. Somebody told them some history about how their ancestors liberated their country from the French. Somebody told them somewhere of their history. They're walking links to history. So I just want to say, can we give them a round of applause, each and every one of them? And I'm going to start right here with Miss Natalie. And all I want you to say is, if you're a Gen Z or millennial, and tell us something about you.
Hello everyone, my name is Natalie Sidgut. I am Haitian. My last name means that's it. And I think it's powerful because I was born in Haiti and history is very important to us. They teach us our history from the time that we are able to talk. And a fun fact about me is that I actually won a history competition in high school because of Haiti's independence story.
I love it, thank you, Natalie.
Hello everyone, my name is Lauren Lyons. And fun fact about me is I'm the second generation Rattler. And yes.
We got the Rattlers in the house.
That's right. We in the house. And I really think the HBCU experience is important. And it's a really safe haven and safe space for Black students. So I'm always going to be an advocate for HBCUs. So yes.
Good evening, my name is Isaiah Henry. 19 years old, student at Eastern Florida right now, about to transfer over to UCF. One of the biggest things that I really love is voting rights. I'm gonna tell you something. My grandfather, he passed in 2018 at 90 years old. I remember hearing stories. Of course, I was born in 2005, but my mother always told me stories of when he was elected. She had never seen him cry or get emotional about anything. But that night he was emotional about it. And I remember also, she was probably older at that point, but calling her, even as an adult, saying, have you gotten to the polls? Have you voted? Yeah. Have you done what you're supposed to do? So I'm really adamant about that, and I hope to carry that legacy on. Thank you.
Man, it's tough to follow that. My name is Dylan, I'm 24. I'm from Freeport, Bahamas, born and raised. And yeah, my mother currently pastors a church that my grandfather planted. They've been moving work with the Progressive National Baptist Convention and she is only the third female pastor in our country to be elected to or appointed to that kind of office. So, yeah, follow in her footsteps, hopefully.
Hey y'all, my name is Nick Carey. I'm what they call a geriatric millennial. And my fact is that Jesus didn't look like me.
Hello everyone, my name is Gerard Bolton. I am a millennial, a geriatric millennial, and my brother here. Just turned 40 years old, and one interesting fact about me is that I love community involvement, especially among young people, and that was passed down to me from my grandparents. They were very instrumental in making sure that the city of Midway, it's near Tallahassee, was incorporated as a city. They worked with the polls and they served the community, and that was passed down to me. At the age of 23, I became one of the youngest people to be elected to the city council. I did almost 9 years to serve city council. That because I now realize that the true power is behind the scenes, not being in front of the people.
Father.
give it up for our Gen Zs, our millennials. And I'm going to come to these two. What is your term called? Geriatric ones. I'm going to have to Google that one, y'all. I just wanted to, before I start my presentation, I just wanted you to hear each of their stories. Because they got some amazing stories. Yes. First time graduates, mayor pro temp. Brother, you should be in Congress. All right? Teaching his son, passing the torch down. You know, I found out a couple of months ago that Yan was from England. So when he said I'm from England, I said, is that right, Bob? And he said, that's why I don't tell nobody I'm from England. Because they always do that. So, but I love him because he keeps us young. And he lets us see through the lens of a Gen Z. And apparently they eat a lot of food too. Because he ordered a lot of food that day. And this sister here, the next Supreme Court justice probably, right? Because we know it can happen, right? Not one come before, anything you want to be. Now this gentleman I've heard a lot about. I heard he's a great teacher and facilitator to us. I'm tuning into some of those sessions you're doing at the church. This brother said he was a 2-time graduate from the Rattlers. Is that what I heard? We got a lot of Rattlers in here? Yes, I'm going to say go Bulls, USF all day, baby. USF all day. And Majesty. Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about that, Dylan. Bob Dylan over there. This sister said to us, she's 16 years old. This is the future. This is the future. So let's give it up for y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming up. Thank you, Nick. All right. So let's talk about it. How do millennials and Gen Z see the world? Well, millennials, just to talk about it for a little bit, let's get real. Millennials born between 1981 and 1996, unless you got some special exception like me. Some interesting facts I learned while doing some research is millennials, which I'm part of the millennial crew, millennials were the last generation to experience childhood without the internet. Raise your hand if you remember childhood without the internet. Woo! I always tell my younger brothers and sisters, like, y'all got it easy. When I was a kid, we was out playing tag, manhunt. We was out in the yard doing yard work. And if you didn't do the yard work, Granny said go and pick a switch. Yes, indeed, y'all know. But we were the last generation to experience childhood without the internet. And I often think of where life is going today and where we're at today. With technology, AI, and everything. We really did experience the last good time before things got crazy. How many of us here today can remember what it was like, what the world was like before AI? Just by a show of hands. You know what AI is, right? You see it all over, the chat bots, they're everywhere. It's taking over. Everything that we think about, our jobs, the movie industry. I read something the other day where Tyler Perry said he ain't going to expand his studio. He's talking about getting AI. I was thinking about calling Tyler, but I don't know. Okay. Let me go ahead back one slide. So, just what I want to talk about, just a couple of interesting things. Our generation, millennials, experienced some horrible tragedies that shaped our lives. How many of you remember the terror attacks in 9/11? How many that are millennial in the room remember it? I almost said 5 years old. See, I almost told a lie, y'all. I was in 5th grade, and I remember being in my teacher's class, and all of a sudden, all these kids that didn't look like me was going home. I'm like, what is going on? Then they told us what happened. I said, I hope my mama coming and get me. And then they said something about they was coming to Tampa. My mama was there real fast. But we remember that. We remember that. We have a vivid memory of it. We may not remember all the details, but we remember it and how it affected all of us. The 2008 economic recession. Raise your hand if you remember that horrible disaster. Oh yeah. I didn't have a lot of money back then, but I know it was bad. And it was so bad, it changed the lives of so many people. And we already know, black folks, when it comes to equality in the pay scale, we way at the bottom. So we know that economic recession, not only did it hurt a lot of people, but the people of color in impacted communities, it really hurt. And us children felt that as well. Those were two major events. These two singular events changed and altered the course of many of our lives and how we see and view the world. I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you. It should go ahead and play. Is that probably good? I thought just by clicking it was going to start. So this video I'm going to play is a millennial, a TED Talk. Raise your hand if you ever heard of a TED Talk. So informational, so educational, and this young lady spoke from her heart. And when I seen this, I said I had to share it with you. Man, all those ads, I can't stand them ads. All right, here we go.
Close your eyes and ears, but listen to me. Because I only have 3 minutes to change the world. Well, possibly 4. And I know you're probably thinking, what can I do in 3 minutes that you haven't done in the years before? Well, you see, we tend to put what if and change in the same sentence, almost as if it were a dream. And that's what it seems like. It's a possibility that's too far to reach. And then we start saying things like we tried everything to achieve change. For instance, putting people's pain and suffering on TV. And then we lie back wondering why people still ignore hunger, poverty, and racism. And notice I didn't say we lie back in our beautiful homes, or we lie back in our big offices, or we lie back in the comfort of heat and family. I didn't say this because we don't need that one politician, that one rich person, that one wealthy family. We don't need a complex solution. You don't take a kid suffering from starvation and say, here, take this 40-pound steak, go eat. You're just gonna do what the world has done to us every time we offer change, a complex solution. Throw it up in our face. Harsh, I know, but we've pushed change too far as we watch natural disasters tear apart homes and families, always thinking change is just too far to reach. If there's still something that's in us that hungers, that thirsts, that desires after change, so we continue the pursuit. The pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of something different. The pursuit of something non-existent. But it's like running a race. And in the beginning, thinking you're gonna lose. The outcome, defeat. So we have to change our equation now from what if change a dream or make it a reality. So how? I know you're probably wondering, am I supposed to change the world in 3 minutes, possibly 4? Well, I'll show you how I took the equation what if and I changed it. Yes, I was the girl who said, what if my body was like that on TV? Yes, I was the girl who said, what if everyone could just like me? What if my hair were longer, my feet smaller, my voice higher? What if the tone of my skin was lighter? What if I was the definition of pretty? Like all those models on TV, I continue to say what if about myself until I realize I am not ugly, but society, well, it is. So I went into my closet, reached past the stilettos, grabbed the dirty sneakers, put on my favorite jeans, looked in the mirror and said, I am beautiful. Walked out the door, made it a reality. And if you still don't understand what I'm trying to say, I'll try to present it to you in another way. You see, what if time was of the essence and enforcing change wasn't my message and poetry wasn't my passage to infiltrate, motivate all young people's minds? And you'd be amazed to see what I'd find when I spit these words. Excuse me, I mean when I pronounce these adjectives, verbs, and adverbs. You see, all I want to do is change the world. And if I could have a simple conversation conversation with you that would give you the motivation to keep trying, well, baby, that's when we start living a little more than surviving. I mean, dying. I mean, all we have to do is do things like listen to our youth. They're our future. So watch work as I peel back the cover on their true words. What if? What if mom and dad weren't gone no more? What if? What if these stereotypes never hit the top but stayed on the floor? What if my education was free? And I don't mean given to me, but safely, securely. Someone believed and I could have a dream of what this speech saying one day I'd be on the stage doing poetry. One day I'd be able to scream at the top of my lungs and no one would assume that I'm angry. One day I'd be able to say, yes, that's me. And ignorance and bliss is not the key. One day I'd be able to say, what if I had 3 minutes to change the world? I'd stand in front of hundreds of people and tell them not to change the world, but to change themselves. Common sense, yes? No. Because I learned a long time ago that common sense really isn't common at all. But anyways, the message would still go through and they would understand that what I stand for is true. And in 3 minutes, no, 4, I would have changed the world. It would have been like a fairy tale. Like a dream come true, almost like a myth. But I guess it's only just what if. But what if?
But what if? I wanted to play this for the young people that are here because that message is inspiring. You can change the world. It starts with you. All right, and now we're going to bounce back to our slides, and we are almost done. Let's give y'all a round of applause for hanging out with us today and learning about Black history. Stephon is working magic. Y'all seen that movie, The Wizard of Oz? Yeah. We got him. He right here. All right. Thank you very much, sir. All right, clap your hands if you're ready to eat something. Reverend Betty said, yes, yes. Clap your hands if you're having a good time. Clap your hands if you are enjoying this experience. All right. I'm not going to ask you to clap your hands no more. All right, there we go. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. George Washington Carver. Generation Z. Let's talk about Gen Z for a minute before we get out of here. Gen Z born between 1997 and 2012. This generation right here is the social media TikTok generation. For all my Gen Zs, raise your hand if you are a social media influencer. Anybody from the Gen Z or millennial crew? All of y'all are on TikTok or you're on social media. We know because we see it. They want to talk face to face. That's what we're learning. They are the most ethnically and diverse generation in recorded history. They want more gun control like previous generations, and we all know why. We all know how many school shootings seem to be happening all the time in our country. And we all know time and time again, politicians don't do anything about it. But this generation is doing something different. They're moving different. They are getting the attention of the masses. They are the Greta Thunbergs. They are Greta Thunberg serious about climate change. Gen Zs are so serious about climate change. You see them striking. You see them walking out of school, out of college, really trying to bring it home that this planet is sacred to all of us. And if we don't take care of her, she's not going to take care of us. We're seeing all the floods. You turn on the news and you're seeing some type of natural disaster. So the young Generation Z are very, very passionate about climate change. And this is the last video we're going to watch. And my videographer, I believe he left me. I don't know where he went. Him and Dr. Drayton both left me. So let me see if I can go ahead and play this for us. And this is for Generation Z. 1 second.
What is Generation Z? Generation Z is very diverse and different from other generations.
Gen Z is the kids of today. We're passionate about social justice and we leverage our identities to create a world that's better for everyone.
Generation Z was born in 1997 or after. Its members are in their teens and early 20s, and they're the most racially and ethnically diverse American generation yet.
They're also on track to be the most educated generation. And to give you a sense of their place in time, most of the people in Gen Z have never known life without a smartphone.
Gen Z is really the identification for people who grew up purely in the SU era community.
We have the internet, we have each other, and we have the bonds that we've been able to create to truly form coalitions and actually make change.
In a brand new podcast from the San Diego Union Tribune, we'll get to know this new generation that's literally changing the face of America. And you'll hear directly from them about what they are and aren't.
People should know that Gen Z is not just about being bound to their phones, it's also being bound to an increasingly populated network of knowledge.
So I think that Gen Z is really like focused on the bigger issues in society, just with what's happening right